Yo, Chicago Cubs Central fans, the rumor mill is jumping. It's turning. It's doing belly flops right now. There's just so much going on while these GM meetings are happening. Guys, this is the precursor to what I think is about to be a crazy set of winter meetings where teams are ready to be super active, including our Chicago Cubs. So today we're going to take a look away from free agency and we're going to talk about two major trade pieces that could be on the block. One coming from the Diamondbacks, one coming from the Padres. Listen, guys, these deals you don't want to miss. And then on top of that, we got to talk about our good friend Kyle Tucker. While this been this foregone conclusion that the Dodgers are going to be his team, he might have just ran into some bad news about that. We're going to talk about it and then some on this episode of Chicago Cubs Central right after this. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones, back here again with another episode of Chicago Cubs Central for you. Listen, man, I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying our off-season content, y'all. I'm trying to get this stuff out to you every single day, just making sure that we're keeping in line with what's going on in the MLB world. Guys, it is the GM meetings right now happening in Las Vegas, and there's so much news coming out of these meetings, y'all, and I have thoroughly enjoyed covering it, reading it, hearing about it, and also commenting back and forth with you guys about it. Make sure you go back and watch our episode from yesterday where we talked about what the Chicago Cubs are doing, and Jed Hoyer dropping a blockbuster news on what the Chicago Cubs focus is on this year's free agency, and they're open to trades also, which is a precursor actually to today's episode, because today we're going to focus on two teams. That's right, not one, but two teams that have mentioned or been mentioned as teams that could make blockbuster deals. They are looking to move talent that could transcend another team or push another team over the edge into World Series contention. Now, again, Chicago Cubs last year finishing top wild card spot, taking beating the Padres in 3 games, taking the Brewers to the distance, and the Chicago Cubs being still considered a big market team. Their names are going to be mentioned in a lot of these. So I'm going to cover it, but I'm also going to cover it with a grain of salt. I also want you guys to look at this and understand that some of these deals are pie in the freaking sky. They're going to come over the next month. You're going to hear so much stuff away up until Christmas, pretty much. You're going to hear so many different things. We're going to have so much fun talking about it all, the likelihood of it. I'm going to have some guests on with me to talk about the likelihood of some of this stuff. Just sit back and enjoy. We got to watch what Jed actually puts together. And again, take all of this with a grain of salt. I'm telling you guys, when you come here to this channel, I'm giving you the real. I'm not going to, give you some BS. I'm not going to tell you some pie in the sky stuff. I'm going to be honest with you and tell you what deals are more likely to happen and what deals are not likely to happen. And again, we just got to wait and see how it all plays out. But the Chicago Cubs are apparently not only are they going to be in the free agent market now, I believe they're going to look at more as of to bolster up their pitching, but they could also look for trades to bolster up their position players. Now, I know Jed Hoyer said yesterday in his interview that he was okay. He felt the team was okay and good at position players. I still believe the Chicago Cubs are going to end up trading Kevin Alcantara. I'm of the mindset that Owen Casey isn't untouchable either. If the right piece comes along that could potentially bolster this Cubs team and push them or propel them towards beating the Brewers, being the number one team in the National League, and also help them maybe hopefully win the World Series, well then, I think that they'd be inclined to make that trade depending on what it would cost them. Now, again, I'm of the mindset that any trade that the Chicago Cubs make this offseason will cost them Kevin Alcantara, probably Moises Ballesteros, and probably Jackson Wiggins. And you could even have to see the Cubs give up a piece that is already in that is already in the majors. Maybe that's a Dansby Swanson. Maybe that's a Nico Horner. Maybe that's a Matt Shaw. We'll just have to see what happens. We will have to see and wait and see what the Chicago Cubs do. But before we get to all of that, before we talk about all of those pieces, guys, like I told you before, it's pretty much been seeming like it's a foregone conclusion that Kyle Tucker is just a Dodger. I think every Cub in their mind and heart and soul know he's not coming back to the Cubs. So it's just a foregone conclusion. He is going to decline that $22.0 million player option, decline that option, or that qualifying offer, excuse me, not option, that qualifying offer, and that he will become a free agent. That is pretty much what the assumption is. And then on top of that, I don't know about you guys, but I just pretty much assumed he was going to be a Dodger, right? Well, there's a new report that just came out that gives us the latest during these GM meetings on the outset of what a Kyle Tucker Dodgers deal might look like and the likelihood of it. I'm going to take it from the top, y'all. So Jeff Passan of ESPN writes that the Dodgers don't seem inclined to make a decade-long commitment to the star outfielder. Fabian Ardea of The Athletic wrote last night that while the Dodgers aren't ruling out a Tucker pursuit, they're also not opposed to making a short-term outfield move while waiting for the arrival of internal reinforcements. What does that mean? That means they might be tapped out on cash. The ownership team might finally have been like, hey, you know what? We didn't want back-to-back World Series. It's not out of the assumption that we have to absolutely go sign Kyle Tucker. We don't have to absolutely have him, which for Kyle Tucker kind of sucks because even though and I'm going to get into it in a second, what the Dodgers are missing at the outset or the outlook of their outfield, they still won back-to-back World Series, guys. They still have probably the best 5 starting pitchers in baseball. That rotation is deadly. Nobody wants to see that in a 7-game series. Trust me. And then on top of that, you got Freddie Freeman. You got Shohei Ohtani. Like I said, you got all these pieces that they've spent money on, and they just they just made sure to re-up Max Muncy for another year. So like I said, that's more danger. So again, the Dodgers aren't in any hurry to do anything except sign a closer. That's all the Dodgers are concerned with. Everything else, they're good. They're good. So where does this play for Kyle Tucker? Somebody that is looking for a team to make a 10-year commitment to him, somewhere upwards of around $200 to $300 million. He believes he's worth that. His management team, his representation believes he is worth that, and he wants that. Now, this could potentially play into the Cubs' favor. Why? Because if Kyle Tucker doesn't get that deal out there, he might be inclined to listen to the Chicago Cubs on a 2 or 3 year prove-it deal with multiple opt-outs. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up because I do believe San Francisco, and I really believe that, especially with Cody Bellinger being gone and with the Phillies, don't forget about the Phillies too. They got rid of Nick Castellanos. They aren't re-signing him to a new deal. Cody Bellinger's not in New York with the Yankees. I'm just saying, y'all, it's very well plausible that you could see Kyle Tucker sign with the Yankees, but it's also not out of the realm of possibility that the Phillies offer him a deal depending on what they offer Kyle Schwarber. Those two things matter, and depends on if they end up trading Bryce Harper. That's another important piece in this, because if they trade off Bryce Harper and get off of that contract, they're likely going to go sign Kyle Tucker, or at least give him a multi-million-dollar offer, because that's a lot of money off the books. Just saying. So, like I said, I don't know the likelihood of Bryce Harper being traded. Again, there's multiple reports out there saying that Bryce probably could end up being traded. There's also multiple reports out there talking about the fact that Kyle Schwarber, the Phillies are unwilling to let him go. If he wants to be a Philly, there is no amount of money they aren't willing to pay. Well, that could very well tap them out, and they do have other positions of need, including outfield. So, again, like I said, they're going to have to get very creative with what they decide to do out there in Philadelphia. But when you're looking at the New York Yankees, that's another team that could absolutely come swoop right in and be like, hey, Kyle, you want to come play with us? Like I said, I mean, again, you got to switch around some positions out there because he can't play right field, obviously. But, I mean, hey, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, again, don't sleep on Kyle Tucker going to them. And, again, he could get a smaller deal from the Dodgers. It could be, hey, do you want a World Series? And we'll pay you later, maybe. Potentially. We'll see. But Kyle Tucker's injury history, I think, especially how he got injured this year, these are all key things that are going to play. The looming lockout happening in 2027, teams being unwilling to commit to him for a long period of time. I really think his injury history is going to end up, he's not Cody Bellinger injury prone, but his injury history and how he has not been able to stay healthy could end up costing him a lot of money. The fact that he did not play good the down the stretch for the Chicago Cubs. I mean, he was pretty much absent. So, I mean, these are all factors that teams are looking at, and they're going to try to lowball him. So these are all things that could play into the Chicago Cubs. Maybe come back and say, hey, Kyle, you went out there, you saw what's out there, you don't like it. Come back to Chicago. We'll give you a 3-year deal, give you two opt-out options on it, give you an Alex Bregman type deal where he signed with Boston. If you let's say you get injured again next year, and you just want that assurance of knowing you get to play for the Chicago Cubs, you opt into your deal. Come back again and play for us in 2027 once the lockout ends. I mean, this is very, very plausible that this could happen. I don't want everybody to think that it's going to happen, but it's very plausible this could happen. We just have to see what happens with that, y'all. But that's my thoughts on Kyle Tucker. Now, let's get to the exciting, juicy content that I want to talk to you guys about. I want to talk to you guys first and foremost about Ketel Marte. What do we know? Well, according to an article in Sports Illustrated, the Diamondbacks are motivated to move Ketel Marte this offseason. Marte is a 3-time All-Star. He's still an impact offensive infielder. In 2025, he slashed .283, .376, and .517 with 28 home runs and 145 WRC plus. This puts him at the tops of the league in majority of these categories, and he is somebody that the Diamondbacks would be able to get a considerable haul for. However, who you trading, Chicago Cubs? Are you trading Nico Hoerner? Are you trading Dansby Swanson? You're going to have to not only trade pieces, ready-to-go pieces, but you're also going to have to turn around and trade young assets too, AAA assets or pieces that are that may not be necessarily major league ready. So, trade I put together for this. If you wanted to trade for Ketel Marte, I personally am not trading Nico Hoerner. Dansby Swanson, I appreciate you. Thank you for being the leader that you were on the Chicago Cubs. But for my money, I'm trading Dansby Swanson. I'm offering them Dansby Swanson, Moises Ballesteros, and Jackson Wiggins for Ketel Marte. What we know about Ketel Marte is that he is a proven home run hitter. We also know that he gets on base a lot. His slash line is amazing, and he can hit leadoff for you. That's right. You move Michael Busch and Nico Hoerner off of the leadoff spot. You got your leadoff hitter right there every single day, and he's going to come through for the Chicago Cubs. He's fast around the bases. He's also able to do a lot for them. So again, Marte offers a high ceiling bat with a positional versatility. Guys, this guy could play second base. He maybe could play first base for you. Like I said, you can move Nico to his natural spot, which is shortstop, which he can do everything at shortstop for you that Dansby Swanson does defensively. And he's going to give you a better slash line than Dansby Swanson because he doesn't strike out as much. He makes contact with the ball. So literally, like I said, you're able to have your front of the line hitter, your leadoff hitter position is taken care of. You don't have to wonder about that anymore. And on top of that, you get somebody that's a perennial all-star. You get somebody that you know is going to give you around 28, 29 home runs or whatnot. And somebody, like I said, that led the Diamondbacks 2 years ago to the World Series. What's not to like about making a trade for Ketel Marte? So let me know in the comment section below. Is Ketel somebody that you guys might be willing to trade for? Now, albeit, I will tell you both sides because I'm honest with you guys. You know, family, how we talk. We talk honest. So, despite the trade rumors, there are strong indications from sources that the Diamondbacks may not be ready to move on from him just yet. But if things don't go well, then, I mean, we'll see. Marte has a large contract remaining, and once he obtains 10 and 5 rights, which give him veto power on trades, his tradability drops significantly. So again, like I said, these are all things. Plus, we know Ketel Marte and both these guys that we've talked about are going to be pieces that necessarily don't have the best reputation right now. Ketel Marte does not have a great reputation within the Diamondbacks organization. He is somebody I think that that has been talked badly about, like maybe not necessarily always being a clubhouse guy, not always being the best teammate, although his team did rally around him when that one obnoxious fan was making those comments about his mother. Like I said, he ended up getting banned from the stadium, which good on them. So the team rallied around him for that. Again, like I said, Ketel Marte, it's here or there with him. Like I said, the Arizona Diamondbacks need to rebuild. They are letting go of all their pitchers. They're ready to start from scratch. If you're ready to start from scratch, why would you hold on to somebody like Ketel Marte? Again, you can get a nice big haul for them for somebody like him. You can get 3 potential pieces that you could plug into your lineup day one. Kevin Alcantara is ready to play Major League. Jackson Wiggins is probably going to be ready this year to pitch Major League. You're gonna get Dansby Swanson, somebody that you can anchor out there at the shortstop position. And again, like I said, you just look at this and you say to yourself, you know, this makes sense. It makes sense for both sides, you know. So, and of course, you get DH with Moises Ballesteros, somebody that at one day is going to end up giving you 40 to 50 home runs. You can just feel it. He's got that type of hitting power within him. All right, so let me know, guys, in the comment section below, Cub fans, is this a trade that you would like to make? Is this somebody that you are interested in? Secondly, let's talk about this one. Fernando Tatis Jr. That's right, Fernando Tatis Jr. The Padres have significant payroll pressure. They have large, backloaded contracts and reportedly less flexibility. And the team, I mean, for what it's worth, they started the season horrible. They did make up for it and end up rallying, being able to make it to the postseason, where they did eventually lose to our Cubs in Game 3 of the wild card series. They did have that number 2 spot. Bob Nightengale of USA Today lists Tatis as one of the most movable stars this offseason, given San Diego's financial state. They put a lot of money behind Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts, and it just has not panned out the way that they thought it was going to pan out. These guys thought they were going to be poised for a run at the World Series. They were not expecting to be a wild card team. Point blank, period. So, I mean, this is just how it goes. So, remind you, even though he is listed as a movable piece, the Padres clearly don't actually want to trade him. The suggestion is more, if things don't change, we are actively going to have to shop him. So, guys, Tatis is still super young. He's mid-20s. He's an elite talent. He's under contract for 14 years, $340 million. So for the Cubs, taking on Tatis is a major splash move. It will probably mean sacrificing multiple high-level assets, meaning prospects and pitching depth, and perhaps lingering. And then you also have to look at lingering injury risk. So with Tatis too. So we already know the Chicago Cubs' main focus is pitching, but they do still need an outfielder out there. I mean, okay, so they don't need an outfielder out there, but in my eyes, they're probably going to need an outfielder out there. I just happen to think and believe that that's going to be what they have to do. So, I don't know. You guys tell me. So 26 years old. So the Chicago Cubs would have to trade off 2 elite Cubs players or prospects. So you would have to probably put in somebody like Owen Casey. You will probably have to put in a Kevin Alcantara. Both of those pieces will be gone, be sent to the Padres, and you're probably looking at Jackson Wiggins, and you're probably looking at somebody else, another piece to throw in too. Maybe even to say a Suzuki, somebody that gives you more home run power or something like that. And I mean the Padres could absolutely look to make that deal happen. So tell me, guys, do you want Fernando Tatis on your team? Now, for me, I'm gonna be completely 100% honest with you guys. I don't necessarily want Fernando Tatis Jr. because I felt like Fernando Tatis Jr. gave up on the Padres last year during that postseason run. I think game 2 and game 3, a matter of fact, game 1, 2, and 3. I live called all three of those games right here on the channel, which, oh yeah, make sure that you guys tune in, the newbies, for our live calls during the postseason. It's amazing. It's a fun time. But I watched him basically give up. It did not look like he could care less if he got a hit or not throughout that postseason, and the team needed him, and he did not come through. So I don't know. Fernando Tatis kind of seems divish to me. It could just be perception versus reality, but to me, that's what I get, the feelings I get from him. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Who do you want the Chicago Cubs to maybe target in a trade? Again, I'm suspecting that they're going to spend a lot of money allocated this offseason for in the free agent market for pitching, but I do expect them to make some trades at position players to hopefully get better, and especially if you have to replace somebody like Kyle Tucker. So listen, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Chicago Cubs Central. Remember, this is your #1 spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you tune in to tomorrow's episode. Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.